Welcome. This is the first cultured vegetable demonstration of the course. This recipe is called whatever they had at the farmer's market and whatever I had in my cupboard and my refrigerator recipe. And that just goes to show you that it is more of an art than a science. Don't get overwhelmed by measurements and by lactobacillus and microflora. Just get creative with your favorite things and give a try to things that maybe you've never had before. So we're going to begin with what I found today, which is this gorgeous Daikon radish. Carrot-shaped radish. Doesn't have quite the spice of a regular radish, but it's crunchy and watery and adds a really nice texture to the cultured veggies. Once they've been cultured, it stays nice and crunchy, which I love. Then we have this nice red onion. They had lots of baby bok choy today, so I got a few of those. They didn't have any really good big cabbages for me, so I got a Napa cabbage. And gorgeous little fennel bulb with some feathers on it. I'm not going to use the whole thing because fennel can flavor things really strongly, can kind of take over the whole cultured veggie product at the end, so I'm just going to use half. And then some parsley, and then in my cupboard I found some tzatziki. This is a sea vegetable, and it's extremely good for you. I mean, it's one of the best things in the world you could possibly eat. This one is dry. It's steamed and then dried, steam dried. And what you do is you put it into water and you soak it for 10 minutes, and it expands to 4 times its size. And it feeds your thyroid. It's got all the natural iodine that your thyroid just loves and eats up. Extremely alkaline. Really, really good for you. And it's got its own little salt because it's from the sea, so it's going to add a little saltiness to your cultured veggies. And then you are going to need, of course, the culture starter from Donna Gates, the Body Ecology diet. So this is the culture starter, not the kefir starter, okay? And then we have the EcoBloom. EcoBloom by Body Ecology is a prebiotic. And this is what the probiotics eat. So it helps them to flourish in the product, which is what we want. And then you're going to need some jars. It's always good to just, if you're new to this, just go out and buy a case of these. They're not very expensive. It can be any glass jar. I like these plastic lids rather than metal lids because over time the metal lids will rust and you don't want that at all. So I use the plastic lids. And the wide mouth ones are nice because you can pack in the vegetables. You can stick your little fist in there if you can, and it just makes it easier. This size is nice because this is something you can just stick in your refrigerator, and it has a good amount of servings for your family, or you can take it to work and have it, it's not this gigantic crock or a big gigantic jar. It's perfect size. You're going to need some water, about 2 cups, because if you're using cucumbers or you're using tomatoes, you're not going to need as much water. But if you're using cruciferous vegetables like carrots and broccoli and cabbage, you won't need you'll need more water to make it juicy. And then you're going to need a cutting board. You're going to need some knives and a peeler for the Daikon. You can use a food processor if you'd like. It certainly makes the job go by quicker, but today I'm going to mince these vegetables. So we're making like a chopped salad almost out of it. But you can do what you'd like. You can leave them in big chunks, you can shred them, and I'm going to make several recipes so you'll be able to see all the different textures, and then you're going to learn to do what you like the best. The other thing is a blender, because we're going to make a brine, and I'll show you how that works after we've minced all our veggies. Look at this. This is already starting to soak up all the water, and it's not quite 4 times its size, but it's like 1 time its size. So, all right, let's get started with this Daikon. I'm going to peel the Daikon just because it's got some little roots on it that we don't really want in there. Take that top off, the little end off, they're all dried. And again, I'm going to mince these guys. Into little cubes. I love Daikon because they soak up whatever it is that you put into, whatever spices or flavors you put into the jar, into the cultured veggie, they soak up that flavor. So if you put like a lot of garlic or some sea salt, they soak that up. So when you crunch into it, it's got this beautiful, fresh, light, watery, crunchy flavor of the garlic or whatever you put. And it's one of my favorite vegetables to use in cultured veggies. You want to make sure that you soak those sea vegetables, if you're going to use them, ahead of time, because it takes a while for them to really get rehydrated. Let's go ahead and use our little onion. Okay, the fennel bulb. So what we're going to do is just cut this kid right in half. Yeah. That, so beautiful. Smells amazing. The outside of fennel is quite woody and fibrous, so we don't really want it. We don't really want it on there. Not too much left after you take all the woody bits off, but so worth it and so delicious. What a divine smell that is. Fennel? It's really all you need to flavor up the product, because it's really that aromatic, you know. Okay, then we have them all. Look, isn't this cute? This is like those little Russian dolls. Dee, 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 dee. Food is fun. So let's just put these all together. If you don't know bok choy, get to know it. Bok choy has a little bit of a cabbagey taste to it, but also has like a watercress taste, and I love it. Used a lot in Asian cooking, high water content, filled with minerals. I mean, do you get the theme here about vegetables and mineralization? Minerals equal alkalinity. Minerals equal oxygen. That's why we need so much alkalinity in our diet. Okay, so these are more like strips. It didn't quite come out in a minced fashion, but that's okay, because what did I say before? It's more of an art than a science. I'm going to switch out my knife because we're going to tackle this beautiful Napa. Gorgeous. Oh, this is such a pretty, this is art. Look at that. It's gorgeous. We're just going to make strips right down the center of the half of the Napa. So now we're going to make the brine. Now, the reason that I like to use a brine is because you're adding more juice, more water to the product, so it's going to have a juicier content. And we're adding more nutritional value to the product. And that's the whole point of these vegetables, is to have more nutritional value in your daily diet. So the way that I do this is I'm going to use some parsley. Now, I always use herbs for the brine, like parsley, cilantro, and basil. The reason is because, believe it or not, the stems of herbs like this actually have their own probiotic content. There's actually beneficial bacteria in the stems of parsley and basil and cilantro and thyme. So I use like 2 big hunkin' handfuls there. And then we're going to use I'm probably going to use 1.5 cups of this. Our culture starter, very important. Now, these vegetables, they will ferment without a starter because vegetables have so many beneficial bacteria that live on them already that they will ferment on their own. But what's the reason that we eat these? Because we want as much probiotic content in our bellies as possible. So we're going to go ahead and put the starter in there. And then we're going to use this prebiotic, this Body Ecology prebiotic, which is the food for the beneficial bacteria. I'm going to use I'm going to use 2 scoops. Why not? These guys are probably pretty hungry in there. What else? You could put a cucumber in there. You could put anything else that you'd like to add into the brine just to add more nutritional value to the products. And then we blend it up. So we probably need more water in there, I think. And you want to puree. Liquefy it. Look how bright and green that is. It's so filled with alkalinity and oxygen, mineralization. It's just teeming with probiotic life now as well, isn't it? Oh, that smells so fresh and beautiful. All right, we're going to add this to our vegetables. All right, so we have our gorgeous brine, beautiful green parsley, prebiotic, probiotic brine. We have our beautiful Napa cabbage, which isn't minced, but it's more of a rough chop. The fennel, gorgeous aromatic fennel, minced. My baby bok choy. My Daikon radish. My red onion. And then looky here. This tzatziki absorbed almost all the water. And it's nice and chewy, tiny bit rubbery, fully hydrated and gorgeous and ready to add to our magical cultured veggies. So let's start with this, shall we? So let's put in our tzatziki. You can chop the tzatziki so that they're really tiny, but I'm going to leave them nice and, oh, look how beautiful that is. Gorgeous. So pretty. And then our fennel. Baby bok choy. Baby bok choy. And then our daikon. I've never made this combination, so I'm excited to see how it turns out. And all these delicious red onions. This, you know, the combination of the red onions and the tzatziki and the baby bok choy, just, it smells like a soup right now. And then we're going to take our brine and we're going to add this gorgeous brine. The colors are just amazing. Nothing can be this vibrant but live food. Look at that. So what we want to do is take our clean hands and we want to use our hands to mix up this beautiful concoction And I love using my hands. You have to use hands. And I talked about it in the benefits of probiotic foods. But I'll address it again, and that is to say that when we mix our own beneficial bacteria that are on our hands and in our environment into these vegetables, the bacteria that are present in there mix with our own bacteria, and they actually customize this product for your nutritional good. So whatever it is that you need, you physically need, you and your family need in your nutritional, in your diet daily, these bacteria kind of talk to each other and they customize this product for you. And I know that sounds outrageous and it sounds like, how can that possibly be? But this is science, I'm telling you. This is true, this is real stuff. These bacteria, their whole purpose is to thrive and to help you to thrive because you're their host. And they want you to thrive. They want you to be healthy so that they can thrive. And so it's very important to mix the vegetables together with your hands like this. Now look at this beautiful, beautiful final product before we put it in our jars. See, there's some juice at the bottom there. We're going to want that juice in there. And I'll show you why. Oh, it's just gorgeous. You could add spices to this if you want. You could add caraway seeds. You could add pink salt. You could add sea salt. You could add anything you want. Cayenne pepper. You could add chili flakes. All right, so let's get jarring. I brought some more water because I want to make sure that my vegetables are always submerged below the brine. And I have a feeling that I didn't put enough water originally, so we're going to add water to it. And it's perfectly okay. The water does not have to be brine. It can be just water. You can just add more water to it. It's going to work out just fine. I brought different sized jars because this is what I had in my cupboard, and one metal lid. But let's start. You just take a nice big handful of the vegetables over the bowl because it's quite a messy job. And you start to pack in the vegetables like this. You really want to pack them in as tight as you can in there. You want to get as much of the air out of this jar as you can because these bacteria really like an anaerobic environment. That means without air. They thrive in that sort of environment. And as the vegetable matter starts to break down, what will happen is the beneficial bacteria will eat the lactose out of that vegetable matter that's breaking down and turn it into more beneficial bacteria. And it increases the nutritional value of the product, like considerably. They say up to 100 times. That's pretty amazing. So we just keep putting as much as we can in there. Get all that air out and pack it in. So we're going to have quite a bit of vegetables. I hope we have enough jars. Or maybe we'll just put a little apple cider vinegar on what's left and have a little salad for lunch. How about that? So as you can see, that's packed in really tightly, but guess what? There's no juice. So what we're going to do is just add some water to it. It's going to seep down. Pack it in some more. We really want the vegetable matter to be submersed. Submersed or submerged? We want it to be under the brine. Very important. If the vegetable matter does not fall below the line of the brine, whatever sticks out on top could potentially get a little bit moldy. And we don't want that. It's not going to hurt you, but you don't want to eat that if that happens. You want to scoop it out with a spoon and toss it. You want to keep as much of that vegetable matter below the brine as possible. So that's one guy. Look how pretty that is. that tzatziki was such a nice addition, even if just for aesthetics. It's beautiful. But it's not just aesthetics, because it's filled with those amazing, amazing nutritional minerals for your thyroid and for the rest of your body as well. Okay, squish, squish, squish. So here we have our almost finished product. What I've done is I've taken a bok choy leaf and I have pushed it into the top of my veggies to keep the veggies underneath the brine. A cabbage leaf works better because the bok choy leaf is sort of coming apart, but you get the picture. And that just keeps them nice and moist and underneath that brine. And then we're going to put our lid on really, really tight. We're going to do the same with this one. I'm using the end of the bok choy leaf on this one just to push it down. That worked really well. Do you see? You see how well that worked? It pushed everything below the fluid. And now you've got all this vegetable matter here. The brine has come above it, and you've got the bok choy leaf holding it down. And you know, to be perfectly honest with you, I've done this many times for a long time. And a lot of times I don't use a cabbage leaf or anything to keep it down. The vegetable matter rises up and it's okay. It doesn't ruin anything. It's not going to spoil. It's all good. This is just to ensure that all the vegetable matter that you pack in here stays below the juice and really ferments and starts to become the cultured veggie product that you want it to be in the end. Look at these. I always say this when I'm done. These are some of the prettiest cultured veggies I've ever made. I always say that because they are. Every time they get prettier and prettier. Now let's talk a little bit about how to store them. Very important. You do not put these in the refrigerator. You're going to keep them outside of your cupboard. You can do as young as 3 days of an aging process up to, I like 7 to 10 days. I feel like that's a really good time to get them just tart enough, still a little bit crunchy, and a lot of probiotics have flourished during those days, so it's really teeming with life and healthiness. So I go 7 to 10 days. Now you can ferment these for months. This is an incredible sort of emergency food to have on hand in your garage and keep them in there, aging them. And if for some reason you were out of electricity for a while or something, you could just live on these and you would be really healthy for it. So, you know, keep a bunch of them. You can make a whole bunch of cultured veggies and just have them fermenting in your garage or wherever you keep them. So there really is no time limit. They do get very soft the more aged that they are. So you're going to have a preference. They also get a lot more tart, really, really sour and very vinegary the older they get. We're going to do these 7 to 10 days. And what you're going to want to put them in, I call this a crib because they're my babies and you want to put them in a little crib. You can take some rags. This isn't a rag, but you can take some old rags or old towels and line the crib with the towel, and you can put your cultured veggies into the crib like this. And then you want to store them in a warm, dark place at about 74 degrees and up. You don't really want it to fall below that because the bacteria will go dormant if you do. And some people will put them in their oven. They'll turn the light on in their oven, make sure the oven is off, and they'll put it in a container like this. Maybe they'll wrap it in a towel even. And the reason for that is because they will leak. So when they start to ferment and bubble up, the air will start to push this lid open. that's how alive they are. It'll start to push the lid open and it will leak out. And what you can do is go in and you can tighten that lid up so that it doesn't continue to leak. After the first few days, it stops leaking. And you should know that it does have an odor to it. Cultured fermented veggies, if you don't already know, like sauerkraut and kimchi, they tend to have a little bit of an odor, and they can be quite pungent, especially if you add garlic and different spices to them. So you have to be aware of that and be aware of where you keep them in your house, and make sure you put them in something in case they do leak. In the winter time, or depending on where you live, you also can use a heating pad. So in that crib, I put the veggies, and then I put them on top of the heating pad. I plug it in, and I put it in a cupboard, and I shut the cupboard and put an extension cord to the outlet, and keep them, make sure, and I keep them in that 70 to 74 degree temperature, so that you're ensuring that they continue to ferment however long you age them. If you did like a 7-day age, and then you could leave them in your garage without needing to keep that temperature up. Once they have stopped fermenting, once they've gotten to the age that you want them to be, you refrigerate them. Okay? And once you refrigerate them, they can stay good. I would give it 6 months, even up to a year, but 6 months is a good time limit. After 6 months, if you've already opened them, then it goes down a little more, maybe 4 months or so, and they should remain vibrant in color like this. Once they're fermented, they should not be dull in color. They shouldn't be gray. And once you've opened them, after you've refrigerated them and you're eating them, after a few months, they should still maintain their freshness. They should still maintain their vibrance. If they don't, you might want to consider tossing them and starting your new batch that's already fermenting in the garage, because you're going to continue to do this and do this and do this, right? All right, so there we are, our beautiful final, well, not final, almost final product.